Welcome to the Career Rockstars Podcast. Hello, listeners. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Ali. Welcome to this episode of the Career Rockstars Podcast. My guest today is Mouloud Boukhachab, currently the head of regional operations, Africa, Middle East, and Turkey at the second largest laboratory in the world, Pierre Fabre Group. I see and respect Mouloud as a leader ever since we worked together on a vaccine launch at GSK. Mouloud has a truckful of expertise, experience, and skills, and he loves to support others in their development and is a leader in all sense of the word. It seems to me that Mouloud is really a career rock star. Welcome, Mouloud.
Good morning, Alicia. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you and spend some time talking to you. Thank you for the invitation.
You're most welcome. And I'm sure our listeners have a lot to learn from you. And I'm sure you have lots of tips for them. So, Mouloud, as I said, I'm absolutely impressed by all your accomplishments and diversity, moving from sales and marketing to general manager, now head of operations at one of the largest labs in the world. What do you say we begin by you telling us a bit about what you currently do in your corporate career?
Well, today, as you said, after some experience in marketing and sales and general management in Morocco and the Benelux cluster, I moved to this role more than a year ago to head the Africa, Middle East, and Turkey operations. Actually, my job is really making sure, that the general managers, are doing their job in the best way possible. So I consider myself as a servant. I am here to open the doors, and to make sure that the operations move smoothly, and every obstacle is removed as the GMs and their teams can accomplish, and deliver what they had to deliver. So I'm always here to help, and find solutions with them, and they know that they can find me whenever they want me.
That's really good. So it's more servant leadership. Would you classify it as such?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think I would qualify that, as you said, servant leadership. And this is, I think, my way of doing things, and this is how I always did my job, and helping others, and this is how I see my role. Whenever they call me boss, they say I'm not the boss of anyone. I am here to serve you, and you are my bosses, So if you don't deliver, you can make me quit, So you are my boss, I'm not,
The inverted triangle, right? The inverted triangle.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, we work for them rather than they work
Absolutely.
for us.
And you know what we say, your customers are your first boss. So if they don't buy from you, if they don't trust you, if they don't trust your brands, then, it will make your life very hard, and they are our bosses, and then your teams, because they are your voice and eyes on the field, facing the customers. So they are your second bosses. Yeah. So I think this is how we see it.
Great. So I'm just trying to get a picture of how big this operation is without giving away any confidential information, of course, just to give the listeners a sense of the responsibility that you have.
Yeah, well, it's around 150 million euro turnover, mainly done with prescription products in oncology, in anemia, in urology, in many other fields, for GPs as well. And we are fortunate in Pierre Fabre, to have a variety of products and covering many therapeutic areas, such as dermatology, dermocosmetics, cosmetics, medical devices, oral care, and oncology. And now we have recently launched, some powerful brands in oncology to treat, and patients with melanoma, for instance, with CRC. We are in breast cancer. So yeah, I think in Pierre Fabre you can find every solution. You treat, and then you treat the disease, but you can also treat, the side effect, with all our brands in dermocosmetics, such as Aven, Ducret, etc.
Wow.
So I think we have a lot of fun in this company, to be honest with you, and we have a lot of solutions, and we love it. Yeah.
I sense your passion, regardless. It sounds like a huge operation, but I sense passion. Yeah,
it is.
And you've always been. Sorry, go on.
No. I said that we have 600, people working in the region, and doing their best every day. We have fantastic people, from the GMs to the reps, So we are very fortunate in having those guys, doing business in an area which is very difficult. You have very rich, countries, and you have very poor countries, and you have also some countries in war, And so, yeah, I think working with this variety of people, with countries, but also a variety of, I would say, challenges, it makes our job, fantastic. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. It was actually going to be my next question. So there's some hint in there, because I was going to ask you, you've always been more in the pharma, from what I see from your profile, and now always in health. And what is your personal driver, your big why mission that keeps you motivated to work, even if it's a difficult environment?
Well, I think my why is again coming back to the same thing: is helping others. Whether it's patients, whether it's consumers, whether it's our customers like physicians, and pharmacists, but also our teams, And whenever I can make a smile on a face, I made my day. And this is really how I see it. This is what motivates me, to go back every single morning with the same motivation, and to start a big day.
Great. Yeah, to jump out of bed. Yeah, we look forward to Monday rather than Fridays, as I like to put it.
Well, it's been almost 30 years of the same passion and same motivation, and the same, the same energy. It never decreased, whatever the challenge is, I think the energy and positivity, and is always there.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype, especially in career coaching these days, about finding my passion. We can find our passion, but living our passion is even more powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's what makes really, I think, the difference between having a great job. I think your job, you make it, and if you want to make it great, you make it great. If you want to make it very bad, you make it very bad. It's up to you. And this is how I see it, whatever the challenge is, and I think if you have the drive and if you're positive, and there is always a solution, so and you need to find it.
Yeah, interesting. So when we think about a career, normally it's like a roller coaster.
Always.
It's never a smooth ride, and that brings some of the excitement too, right? And it propels us to grow. What significant high or low you think you can share with the audience, just to encourage them, the lessons you might have learned from such an experience?
Well, I think when I look back, and when I meet, and some, people in my teams, they come to me and they say, "Well, I need you to help me build in my career." And my answer is always the same: build it yourself. Make a future. If you don't have a road, create it. So, and I think this is how I did it. I started almost 30 years ago, in Morocco as a rep, and I always dreamed, doing more and more and develop myself. I have been a student all my life till today. Curiosity, I think, the second one, and courage, the third one, because the challenges are always high, and I remember when I moved from Morocco to London, one of the HR told me, well, it's going to be very difficult for you, to work in a different environment in the UK, in an international environment, and maybe you will go back to Morocco in 6 months. While I stayed in London 6 years and just came back where I wanted, So I think don't let anybody, tell you what you have to do, and find your way. I think motivate yourself, be curious, learn as much as you can. Don't be afraid to fail, and move on. I think, and big dream. I think really big dream. I think dream big. Sorry, it's for me. It's as we say, if you dream doesn't scare you, then you are not ambitious enough. So I think this is really what drove me. And also I find a lot of energy in obstacles and challenges. But we are not all the same. I think every single person behaves and behaves in a different way towards challenges. Myself, I find energy in challenges, and this is how I feed myself. Where more the challenge is big, more motivation I have. More energy.
Especially if someone tells you can't do something, right?
Oh yes, I love it. Yeah. Oh, I have so many examples. A lot of people tell you where your background is. I remember where I wanted, where I was in international, and they wanted to move to work in Europe, and one of the senior managers, told me, well, your background is international, more linked, to the South Hemisphere. Let's make it this way. Well, I think for me, at that time, that manager didn't know that he gave me so much energy and motivation to join Europe. And maybe 2 years later, I was in vaccines in Europe, So, yeah, I think this is the way to go. I think it's find your own motivation, do it for yourself, and if you do, and I think behind every single success, for me, there is also 80% of work. You need to work very hard, because the more you move up, the less places you have, and the more competition you have. Then the number one, you need to be very good in what you're doing, because if you don't do very well in what you do, you are not going to get the trust from managers. And then I think then it's your soft skills, how you behave in a company, how you create relationships, and your ability to connect with others, and your also ability to work with others, because let's face it, when we are a manager, we're not just looking for experts. We're looking also for people that we would like to have a drink with at the end of the day. And for me, this is very, very important. So I think soft skills and hard skills for me are equal. And maybe I would put more emphasis on soft skills, because in a company, it's very important, that you can work with others and you can secure others, and
it's a lot about the relationship. The interpersonal skills are so powerful. And what if in terms of the feedback, so for example, we spoke about the example, someone telling you can't do something, and that brings the motivational energy to overcome that challenge. But then there's also feedback, and today there's a lot of rejection. For example, when people are applying for jobs, how would you manage rejection? What's your little strategy for managing rejection?
I think the first thing is really not to take it personally. Yeah, I think this is the first thing. It happens sometimes, where you don't have the it's not your time. And sometimes maybe there are people better than you, and you have to accept it. And I think as we say, when the planets are aligned, you get the job. I'm 100%, convinced of this. But then the planets have to be aligned. It means that you are, the person for the job, and you connect with the manager, and it's the right time for you to move, etc., etc. So yeah, I think if there is rejection, don't take it personally. Work harder and come back.
Indeed.
Never give up.
Yeah, and you said something within that, connecting with the manager. And I think a lot of even experienced people, not necessarily the younger professionals, they hesitate to contact and reach out to hiring managers. Sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's confidence. What are you seeing in your industry?
Well, I think it's always good, to connect with hiring managers, and explain what you want to do, explain your project, what can you bring, to the role, and how you can create value. I think for me, it comes always to how, what value you create in the job, and this is, for us, whatever the job is, are we creating value to the company, to the teams, and for ourselves, yes or no? I think this is the question, really. And this is what, this is where also, the background experience is good, but the experience doesn't tell, that you will succeed in the next job. Mm-hmm. For the next job, I think it's also, you need to assess yourself first, and say, okay, I have the motivation, but can I do the job? Is it a job for me? But also you can ask this question. I think we need to be open about this, because the hiring managers is choosing the people he wants to work with. But as a candidate, when applying to a job, you need also to be curious about the manager, whether yes or no, you could connect well, you can work together, because it's very important, this relationship between the manager and the team. It's key. This is one of the keys of the success, because if there is no connection, no trust, then the job will just go to failure.
Yeah, there's so much emphasis today on employee engagement, for example, but as you said, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Yes.
Even if you get the job, that engagement, that relationship needs to be nurtured. And it's not like HR is in charge of employee engagement. The employees are also play a role in that active engagement within the company.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful. You spoke about value creation.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to measure as an employee the value you can create. What's your perspective on that? How would you?
Yeah, for me, the value creation. So, are we solution oriented? Yes or no? You are paid for a job, and to create value. The value, if you are a sales manager, that you need to get the sales. If you are a manager, the value you create is to help your people and create value for your people. And if you are in HR, and I think, as an HR manager, you need to create value to the company, to people, in, having the best training possible, and having a very good form of, coaching, how we coach people, how we lead them, how we create this atmosphere of success. Right. And when you are a manager, it's not also delivering, plans and marketing plans, strategies, is also creating this environment where, as you said, where you nurture people and you nurture success. Because success is not only slides, is not only a slide kit with a very good strategy, with a very good action plan, etc. It's also this environment where you feel safe, where you feel loved. It's safe, because also loving your people and liking your people, and when you feel as an employee that you are loved in your company, that you are trusted, that you are respected, and you would give it all. And this is how you create value. And this is, for me, the value is not only money. It's not only sales, how many units you have sold, and how many prescriptions you got. It's all this, how you connect with others. Creating values also, for instance, if somebody asks you for help, you help them. If you are a senior and you're in a role and somebody junior comes to you, and they ask for help, you create value by helping them, by coaching them, by sharing your thoughts, and what you know. So this is, for me, creating value is really key.
So to think beyond the job responsibilities that it might have been stated. And if we talk about, part of engagement, and there's this big movement, a lot of data out there about people leaving companies because there aren't so many opportunities within the company. What do you see in your current job in terms of creating opportunities for people within the company? In the sense of engagement and retention.
Well, that's key. Again, I think and this is where the managers and HR have to be creative, because I think talented people, you need to feed them, because they are special people. They want it all. They want to succeed. They want to get promotions. They want to be rewarded, etc., etc. So I don't have any problem with that. I myself, like it very much, I would say. But it's up to us, to create opportunities, not only in promotions, but for instance, you have a project, that you want to test. You give it to somebody that is talented, and you create, some opportunities where they can learn, where they can get extra knowledge beside what they are doing in their day-to-day job. And by that way, you tell them that you think about them, you value their job, and you think about them for the next move. And then when you have an opportunity, in the company, you need first to promote internal promotions in a balance, because you also need people coming from outside to bring this freshness, and a different way of doing business, and another eye, on the business. So it's a balance, between internal and external, as you create this environment of high value.
Yeah, it's quite a dynamic, the whole thing about engagement, absolutely. Talent management, hiring, that whole employee journey. It's quite interesting. And I actually read recently that, employees are more interested in gaining skills rather than the actual promotion, because that comes from an intrinsic motivation. Of course, we all need money to survive, but at some point, that point is reached where it's more about our contribution. Indeed.
I agree with that, and I have done it myself, and it happened that I didn't want to go for a higher job because I thought that I was not completely trained and didn't have all the skills, to have this credibility, towards the people you are leading. So it's promotion. It's not always vertical. It could be, going aside. For instance, if you're in marketing and doing operational marketing, maybe you need extra skills on strategy. You need skills maybe on business intelligence. Maybe you need skills in market research. Maybe you need some skills in regulatory. Why not? Sometimes you're going on the field, and because this is how you prepare the future leaders. And you give them this variety of skills, and as they can. understand others, because when you do the job yourself, you understand others very much, and you can help, and you can be a source of solutions as well and help.
Yeah, I think we're reading each other's mind, because my next question was going to be somewhere linked to that. So, of course, we live in a digital world, and marketing and sales have dramatically changed, and it continues to change.
Yeah.
What hasn't changed, you think, in marketing and sales?
In marketing and sales, I think what hasn't changed is the importance of the customers and the importance of people, and also I think the connection with others, creating connections with the consumers and with the customers. I believe, that even if we are going hard on digital, and maybe the weight of e-commerce and e-retail will become higher and higher. For me, the connection between people will always be there, because even if you go on e-commerce and e-retail, you still have to connect with those people, managing those platforms. So it's the relationship, and creating relationship with others will always be there, and human to human will stay. This is for me. I'm certain, that relationship and this human to human will stay, even if we are ourselves, buying more and more, on platforms, because we would like, to save time, and because it's easier to pay online. But I think the customer and relationship, again, I repeat myself, but relationship between people, I think will remain, I think will stay.
Yeah, that's a strong message for professionals who might just be starting off on sales and marketing. There's so much focus on the digital aspect, and they do think about the customer, but I like that part about the human relationship and interaction. Most of it is done online today, but hopefully soon we'll be able to get back out there in person. Great, thanks for sharing that. I'd like to switch a bit, because I asked you about a book, one of your favorite books, and you shared with me. Maybe you share with the audience, and what inspires you from this book, Who Moved My Cheese?
I loved it. It's a small book, that you read maybe in a couple of hours, maybe less, and again, I think I like, and I see it, the people that suffer the most, the people who stay fixed on the problem, right? And and they try to understand and to explain and whatever on the problem, rather than saying, okay, there's a problem, now what is the solution, so let's move on, and I'm really, I'm really focusing on the solutions. Okay, we have a problem. Okay, we have a problem. We have a challenge. Okay, let's face it. What is the challenge? What solutions do we have? And let's focus on the solutions and spend more time on solutions. But we need to understand the challenge, of course. We need to understand the problem, because if you don't understand it, you will not face it, and you will not resolve it or solve it. Mm-hmm. So you have a problem, move on, and find a solution and move on, and that's it. I think this is what I like about, about the book, and I just loved it. I said, okay, well, this is.
It's so tiny, you can actually read it in less than half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what I still remember is the little mouse running around with a pair of boots on the corridors. And this is such a vivid image of someone who, they might be facing redundancy or whatever career challenge, and they sit there and they're stuck, instead of seeking the help, or, as you said, taking the problem and turning it into a challenge, into a project, into something that will get you moved.
You need to accept
Acceptance.
things. Acceptance, I think it's key. First one is acceptance. And the second thing, I believe that things don't happen, or things happen for a reason, right? So whatever the situation is or the challenge is, it takes you to somewhere else, and you discover with time that it was a great move, and it's a great. How many people do you know? You say, okay, well, I got redundant from a job, or I lost this or whatever. But then, I had so many solutions, and it happens that, it was the best thing that happened to me. How many times did you hear this? So I think, of course, it's not easy because your ego, and but I think acceptance, and move on, and find solutions. And as I say, if you don't have a road in front of you, create it, really create it, and again, if you are in this mindset of creating solutions and being positive in your life. And sometimes we think that you say we need to be positive because it's very easy, and because you move on from a problem. No, I'm sorry, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. And being positive, it means that you spend more energy and time to imagine what would be the next step. And because you are in this positive energy, your mind, is more creative. And you can, figure out so many other solutions, and yes, I have seen this so many times, in my career, So.
Yeah, acceptance is so powerful, especially for the identity crisis that many people go through, as you say, with the ego and so on. That's another podcast altogether.
Yeah, it's another topic. It's another topic. Another topic, and I don't have any judgment. I don't have any judgment about that. And I think we are all different, and I think we are all behaving in a different way with challenges, etc.
Indeed, it's another topic, but very important indeed. To support people who might be going through such a career challenge. There are ways to, to get out of that, to accelerate your path through the change that you might be going through. Great, Mouloud. So, so thank you so much, Mouloud, for sharing, your experience, your stories on how you grew and managed your career, starting from sales and marketing to where you are today as the head of regional operations in one of the largest laboratories in the world. It shows that, we never know where we'll end up, where our education, our next step will take us. But we must be aware of where we are and where we're heading to, as you say.
Absolutely.
And I personally believe that ambition is still one of the strongest drivers for professional growth. And we should all be able to express our career goals and our aspirations, even as Mouloud says, if the path may not be a straight one. So that brings me, Mouloud, to my theme question, which is about being a career rock star. What makes you a career rock star?
I will leave. You are the owner of the sentence, okay? I don't see myself as a rock star, but I think I just believed in myself, and I believe that there was something there for me, and I want to find it, and it does come also with a lot of sacrifices, because I had to move home more often than a lot of people, moving from Morocco to the UK, going back to France, and going back to Morocco, and then going to Belgium, and then now I'm in Paris. So I think it takes a little bit of courage, and you need to sacrifice a little bit, of some things, the stability of having your friends around, your family around, and but I think you need to believe in yourself, and go for what you want to achieve. And I believe that if you want something, you can get it, but you have to work very hard. So this
Indeed.
is how I would put it.
Super. Thank you again, Mouloud Boukhachab, for sharing your career journey with us. Remember, listeners, you're welcome. Remember, listeners, you are unique, your career is unique, and your lifestyle is unique. Absolutely. And that it's never too late or too early to take control of your career, to become your own career rock star. This is your host, Dr. Alicia Ali, Europe's premier career coach and mentor. Thank you for listening, and remember to subscribe and join us next time on the Career Rockstars Podcast.
Bye.
We'll enable you to be more, lead more, and to live more, to become a career rock star.